Hey fans, I absolutely love to fish crankbaits. Early on in my career, I wasn't much of a crankbait fisherman, but as I realized I wanted to be a professional fisherman, I knew I had to become very proficient with a crankbait, and that's what I really have built my career around, was becoming a better crankbait fisherman. And over the years, I've really learned to find out the right actions and the right length of rods that really make a difference when it comes to crankbait fishing. What I've got right here is I've got the KastKing Speed Demon Pro. This is the lipless cranking rod, 7-foot lipless cranking rod. That's what it was designed for, technique specific rods, lipless crankbaits. This rod is great for a lipless crankbait, but I'll tell you, I've also found it's awesome for your bigger squarebills, your 2.5 series, the bigger weight type of squarebills and shallow diving crankbaits. This setup is perfect for me. Paired that with a 8-to-1 KastKing Bassinator Elite Reel. 8-to-1 I feel like is very, very important when it comes to fishing squarebills. You're typically working those baits faster from a speed standpoint, and then when the fish do bite it, you're able to catch up with them and stay up with them as well. So the higher gear ratio is very important with that. I've got it typically teamed with 20-pound fluorocarbon. That's pretty much what I throw my squarebills and my lipless crankbaits on. Sometimes I might mix it up with a little braid if I'm in super heavy cover and try to rip it out of that grass and stuff. But you know, a lot of times when you're fishing a bigger squarebill or lipless crankbait, you're throwing it tight to the cover in tight places, whether it be docks or laydowns or around vegetation or something like that. So you don't want necessarily a super long rod. So I really like the 7-foot for that. But it does have enough length if I do need to load it up, and I can really throw it out there. It's got some tip to it, some soft tip, to where when I load that thing up and get that rod to load, and then I can really fling that bait out there a mile. And the other part of that too is you hear a lot of people all the time grumbling about they lose so many fish on a crankbait. And I truly believe it's because they're not using the right rod, reel, and line setup. Rod is very important on that. Crankbait rods have a soft tip to them. You can feel those fish before they actually bite it. I believe that. If you have a really stiff rod, as those fish come up, you're feeling that. And a stiff rod, you actually pull it away from them, and they either barely get hooked or you end up missing them. Where with a soft rod, even if you pull it, that rod has that bend in it, which allows those fish to inhale that bait better. And then as you're fighting them, if you got a rod that will give a little bit, you're gonna keep that fish hooked. If you got a super, super stiff rod and they come up and shake and jerk on something, what typically is gonna give is gonna be the softest part of that equation, and that's typically the fish's mouth. So the 7-foot lipless cranking rod, that's my go-to for bigger squarebills and lipless crankbaits, and it's an awesome one.